Uh, Welcome all of you to this edition of COP Talks, where causing incredible performance founders are with me. And this is a very important framework for organizational development, individual performance, change management, and uh, 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 incredible causing incredible performance framework. The founders are with me, as I said, and welcome Professor Balaji and Nidhi to this show. And I will just start requesting both of you to introduce yourself, please.
Professor
My
Balaji,
name,
you first.
yeah.
Yes.
I live in Bangalore, and after my graduation and post-graduation, I completed the doctoral program at IIM Ahmedabad, Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. After which my work career started, and I was in pure academics for the first 17 years, and then I was in the corporate sector for 13 years. Throughout my studies and work, I've been in the fields of leadership development, management development, organizational development, HR, and such kinds of fields. Since 2013, I've devoted my life to enable people produce absolutely incredible results which are completely measurable in anything people want to cause them in. I devoted my life to this after coming up with a framework and seeing that the framework is a versatile one in the sense that it works across contexts and for almost anything which people want to produce results in, both at work and in their non-work aspects of life. So it's my great pleasure and to be in this meeting. And thanks a lot, Varmaji, for inviting me to interact with you.
Thank you, Sanjay for inviting us. And I really feel at home on Co-op Talks. I'm from the same community. I'm a pass out from Institute Rural Management Anand. And the ethos of cooperatives are what we learned there. And that's what has been my life about. Um, my focus has been on how on public issues, public leaders as well as community can contribute and make a difference. In terms of work experiences, uh, one third of my life has been about disaster rehabilitation. I started my career with Kutch earthquake rehabilitation. I worked with Gujarat State Disaster Management Authority for 4 years. After that, I also worked briefly during the tsunami rehab and the Kashmir earthquake rehab, Surat floods, Bihar floods. And one key takeaway for me from those experiences was that when the situation demands, extraordinary results can be achieved in short time. When the backdrop of an emergency is there, and the same people, same government, same kind of communities can rise up to the occasion and do wonders. That experience was something that made me search for something like that in a non-disaster and a non-emergency setting. When I met Professor Balaji in 2016, I felt, okay, this is the framework causing incredible performance that can bring that kind of focus, sense of urgency, and the coming together of different stakeholders for an objective without a backdrop of a disaster or emergency. Since then, I have used the framework in my personal life, my professional life. For 5 years, I was heading the social impact side of Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, and I got CIP to be used there extensively, particularly to promote regular usage of LPG gas in vulnerable households. In last 20, in 2020, when Professor Balaji set up this institution, Atulya Performance Facilitators, we joined together and set this up. And since then, I've also devoted most of my time to applying CIP in particular to rural context, public issues context, public leadership context with NGOs, governments, and other actors. So, thank you so much for giving us this platform to talk about how CIP can be applied in the cooperative sector for better, faster, meaningful results.
Thank you, Professor Balaji and Nidhi. And I think the common thread amongst all of three of us is cooperative to some extent. And I think it will be a very meaningful discussion with you, both of you, on various issues regarding cooperatives and its an application of CIP to the cooperative framework. So basically, I just wanted to ask both of you that basically, what is the philosophy behind CIP framework like that? CIP framework. So, can you explain it very in a few words, sentences like that?
There you go. One of the premises of human resource development field, with which background I come from quite a lot, is that human potential is immense, and we do not, as individuals, we do not know our potential. This potential can be translated into results. Ultimately, in everything which we do, only results matter. While we are capable of producing normal kind of results, we can also produce extraordinary results in the same context, in the same situation. That is the firm belief, and that is the premise and the philosophy of CIP. That each and every one of us can produce unbelievable results, which are far higher than our normal results in the same situation. That is what is behind CIP. Nidhi, do you want to add to
So,
this?
what made you, think about CIP? What insight, what experience did you feel that I need to come up with a framework which is different from other organizational approaches, leadership approaches? So basically, it was your innovation. So what made you think about it, and where do you find that where was the missing gaps, and how should I come up with this framework? So what was the turning point?
The turning point was my decision to be on my own, way back in the year 2013. When I looked at what do I want the rest of my life to be about, I didn't want to do the normal thing which any freelancer would do. As a person, if I look back, I've always been somebody who did something which is not in the normal course of normal mainstream. I've always taken a deviant path. So then I looked at what are all the things which are of interest to me, which are touching my heart. And I said results, performance, they are the ones which really touch my heart. And I looked at the kind of teaching, training, and coaching I have done and the kind of results people had produced, which were extraordinarily high by applying something or other which they learned from my teaching and coaching and training. So when people can produce those kinds of results, how about coming up with some way, some approach which can be learned? There are certain model theories of performance, extraordinary performance, right? They, I, I didn't find them very useful to be learned and applied directly. I would prefer something like a user manual. That is the kind of knowledge which I wanted to bring out. And reflecting on how these people produce those kinds of extraordinary results. I'm talking about more than 200 such results in various walks of life. That is how I came up with a framework, causing incredible performance framework, which is almost like a user manual. So you just open it and you start doing according to the instructions in a user manual, and that's what then you cause incredible performance.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a participatory approach of using the user manual, maybe the differing points from other type of approaches, which I gather from here. And you wanted to do something very unique in your life, and you were not very traditional right from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, Professor Balaji and Nidhi, can you tell me about one or two few successful examples of this CIP framework, which is which was applicable to individual, organization, and teams like that? One or two successful examples, and more particularly in the development sector, because cooperatives are an important plank of development. And if there are some examples in cooperatives, then nothing like that.
Go ahead, Nidhi.
Sure. So I'm going to start with an example from a farmer producer organization. So a set of FPOs created by a very long time NGO in Maharashtra. They had set up these FPOs which were all women led, and these were fairly new, and they wanted to make sure that these women-led FPOs did well in terms of turnover, revenue, and business. And these women who were heading these institutions were very solid. They had come up from the grassroots, but they had not had business experience. So some of them were also a little bit hesitant about taking on revenue and profit related goals. And they realized that they were very important, because ultimately any collective has to benefit its members, right? And also in terms of income. So I want to share one lady's example. She had a FPO, and they were basically into fresh vegetables, dairy, some renewable energy products, buying and selling of jowar, and some other local crops. So when she took on that incredible goal, she was very sure to be able to generate a turnover in a period of 3 months of 6 lakhs. And these were early days for this organization. She took on an incredible goal of 9.5 lakh. That against this 6 lakh, I'm very sure of, I'm going to do a turnover of 9.5 lakh. Her final result was 22.93 lakhs. So against a 6 lakh, which she was very sure of, she was able to achieve 22.93 lakhs as the turnover of the same period. Uh, so this example is very close to my heart. A woman from a collective, and she was able to create this level of revenue for herself. One more example I would like to share from a government context. So we've done quite a lot of work with health department in one state, and I will share one example. So one of the doctor who was heading a district level initiative, he he was very interested in the issue of anemia, particularly amongst pregnant women. So by and large, the women were from tribal areas, so tribal women, and he was very keen that these women who are anemic at the time of pregnancy, they end up impacting not only the woman's health but also the child's health, right? So he was very keen that in that stage, if these women are able to raise their hemoglobin level, it'll have far yielding impact. I mean, it'll have an impact which goes beyond just that 2 or 3 months. So he took on a goal about raising the hemoglobin level of pregnant and anemic women. And he said in a period of three months, I'm sure the 2 point increase is possible. So 6 is the hemoglobin level, it can go to 8. If it is 8, it can go to 10. with nutrition and iron pills, that kind of a support. So he was very sure that in a period of 3 months, 1,000 women will definitely go up by 2 points. At that time, there were some 12,000 women who were pregnant and anemic in his district. He said 1,000 I'm very sure of. He said if I stretch, I can go to 2,000 women, but 5,000 women is impossible for me. I can't do 5,000 or more women going up by 2 points. He took a goal of 4,000 or more women going up by 2 points in on the hemoglobin scale. His final result was 6,235. So 6 times what he was very sure of in ordinary circumstances. And very interestingly, he faced a strike during this period. ASHA workers went on strike for about 1.5 months, for which he couldn't do anything, but he figured out ways to still achieve his incredible.
Just adding to the last
Sure.
example, when these doctors went through the CIP intervention, the department told them absolutely clearly that they cannot expect even one additional rupee of programmatic support. So with the same budget, same number of people, same amount of money available for their diesel or petrol, everything was the same. In the same context, more than 6 times a normal result is what this doctor achieved. That's what I mean by extraordinary results. Just like that woman in the FPO did more than 3 times.
So,
Almost.
in fact, in both of these successful, interventions of CIP framework, uh, what was the mantra behind these things like that? And basically, there is a change in the mindset of the people like that. And you said that within the same limited budget, with the same manpower, the in the second case, they achieved extraordinary, results like that, incredible performance. So basically, in these two cases, how this change happened like that, based on the some of the key elements of this CIP framework like that. So basically, I know it is a very detailed framework, so which needs elaboration to a large extent. But in particular, these two cases, how this change happened like that. In one FPO case, she achieved the target beyond what she imagined like that. So how this framework played a catalyst role in raising the performance level, raising the target level.
Do you want to go first, Thomas?
Okay. So the one impact when we initially expose people to the CIP framework is that they develop the guts to take on a big goal. Hmm. Uh, so once this lady, as well as the other participants in her batch, they were able to experience during the workshop that yes, we can take much bigger goals than we've been taking. So uh, the power or the catalytic thing comes from them experiencing that power and then committing. So this lady committed that on or before this particular date, I'm going to achieve 9 lakh or more. Now she doesn't know the what all will happen in the journey in the 3 months, but she is able to commit to a number and a timeline, right? So I would say the biggest thing comes from there, taking ownership of what's important for her and then committing to that particular goal. Once she is committed, there are action principles within the framework that sort of support the journey. Okay, so once she is committed, she also realizes that she may have to rally others. She comes up with an action plan, time to time, with the support of the coach. She's going to foreview the future. If there are obstacles, she's going to overcome. And there is, after declaring the goal, there is also a compelling purpose that we get the person to discover. So, why do you personally want to achieve this goal? There is, that's a reason that's close to that person's heart. Why they want to achieve that particular goal. Okay, that reason is also what keeps them on track. And the support of the framework and the coach takes away the, what should I say, the pressure of something bigger than what they had ever achieved before. And that makes them stick to the journey. And as and when necessary, the coach brings up the action principle that's applicable in their context. So from this set of 10 action principles, something or the other is applicable during their journey, and that's what the coach brings up, gets the person to apply, and that's how the progress is sustained and ultimately the goal is achieved.
In fact, I was just going through the whole CIP framework, and I just, came up with a very good important principle, that ownership language. So this framework develops ownership language in people like that. So that is a very, very difficult process like that. People, they don't take up ownership language. So how does this framework develops ownership language amongst the people, and how this transforms into better performance, achieving the goals, mindset change, change management?
Balaji, would you like to take this,
Oh,
please?
I'll give an example which is so fresh this morning when I was coaching a participant. He had taken up a goal and for which he needed people. And while he had his own set of people, he also needed people from a contractor. Now, to cut a long story short, in some part of the coaching conversation, he said, I will discuss with the contractor, and if he gives me more people for the night shift, then I will be able to achieve my goal. Underline this. If the contractor gives me additional people, I can achieve my goal. So I told him, do you realize that what is the language? If you say, if he gives me additional people, boy realized that he actually first said it is ownership language. He mistook it. It said that the contractor will take the ownership for supplying people. I said, no, no, no. CIP framework is all about you. So you need to use ownership language. And he corrected himself he couldn't say that. No, then I had to coach him. And if he said that, I will get the contractor to give me additional people. If the contractor gave me is not ownership language, we call it renunciation language, where you become a victim of the circumstances. On the other hand, when this participant says, I will get the contractor to give me additional people, he is taking the onus of getting the additional people on himself, and therefore he is in control as against being a victim. He is a master of his life. That is how the ownership language works. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. In fact, that is a big, because I feel that, this developing ownership language is a part of empowerment process, and which is very, very important in the organizations of all types.
And it
And
is I'm sorry for intervening. And it is not easy for people to use ownership language for a variety of reasons. Because ownership language requires you to say, I will do this, I will get this done, I will prepare this, I will achieve this. There is maybe a cultural issue here. Saying I seems to be boastful. No, we are not talking about boast here. We are talking about taking ownership. Another reason why people may not use ownership language is because They want a scapegoat. They want an escape route if they fail. So they won't use. Then they can put the blame on somebody else. The vendor did not give me additional people, so I could not get this task done on the according to my action plan. Right? He can shift the blame onto somebody else. So these two, a sense of being considered to be boasting and maybe a belief, I mean, a keeping a back door open to escape in case one fails.
Professor Balaji, I think do you have some experience about CIP
Is Vermaji's thing frozen? Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
So maybe before you put it out somewhere, get Taruna to edit this out, this part.
yes. Just one second.
Hello.
Yes, Sanjay ji.
There was some
Yes,
interruption, in fact. Yeah, yeah.
yes.
So,
Can you
Professor
repeat
Balaji,
the question?
uh, Professor Balaji, do you have some, experience about CIP's application in cooperative organizations like that? And since you came from a very, IRMA, which is a very strong specialization in cooperatives, and Nidhi also, you are there. So, do you have some, experience about its application in cooperatives? Organizations like that, or do you think that what is your own perspective, how can they be applied in cooperative organizations like that, because the nature of the cooperative organizations is entirely different, and which you are well aware about.
So there are two different questions here, right? Uh, I'll ask the first question. Our experience of doing the CIP work in cooperatives has been there. We did executive or management development programs through the Institute of Rural Management. I think I led three of those. And then we did
uh,
another.
your voice is not coming, sir. Your voice is not coming.
Okay. I did three programs for three management development programs through the Institute of Rural Management. I also did a management development program through Vidya Dairy. All these things were primarily for cooperative sector. I also did two workshops for one of the very Asia's largest dairy cooperative. It was Asia's largest cooperative at that time. Two batches covering about 75 executives of that dairy. These are the things which we have done in the cooperatives sector. Uh, One of those people who had gone through the program in Vidya Dairy, he was in charge of quality in a dairy plant. He reported a sudden reduction in the cleaning time of a 60-ton per day milk powder plant, wet cleaning of a milk powder plant. I don't remember the numbers now, it's long ago. A sudden dip in that, if they took X amount of, I think they took 2 days for cleaning earlier, brought it
your,
down to something and then like that. So
your
that was
voice
a,
is not coming, sir. Your voice is not coming.
Nidhi, do you have
Uh,
a,
no. Sanjay ji, I think the network issue is at your end because I can
Okay,
hear
okay,
him very clearly.
okay, okay, okay.
We can
Please
repeat
go ahead.
this section if you want, or but I think this will come very clear in the recording.
Okay, okay.
I mean, this part can be edited out, uh,
Yeah, yeah. Please,
and
please,
then
please go ahead,
then
then, sir.
So that is what we have done in the cooperative sector. That is the answer to your first question. Uh, the second question, is it applicable? How it can be applied in the cooperative sector, right? That's the second question. Uh, First of all, we have to realize, every one of us have to realize, a cooperative organization is like any other commercial company. There is some slight difference there, however. So, for instance, like in the private sector, or there are very small companies as well as very, very large companies. Same thing in the cooperative. We have a very small cooperative and we have very large cooperatives. Similar, just like private sector cuts across various commodities, domains, etc. So do cooperatives, right? You have cooperatives in various commodities and domains. Uh, Given that they are both of them are business organizations, commercial organizations, both cooperative sector and are like any other company. They also are interested in revenue. They are also interested in increasing their market share. They are also interested in increasing the profitability and so on and so forth, right? So in many, many ways, a cooperative is no different from a company. There are differences, of course, right? Uh, I'm not talking about really true cooperatives which follow the 6 or 7 cooperative principles. At least in our country, a very large number of percentage of cooperatives are actually state government public sector enterprises. They have become that. Though they may have a, a name which sounds like a cooperative, right? But they have become public sector companies. So whatever or the ills of a public sector company would be there in these cooperatives also. Uh, Apart from that, and of course, the whole issue, whatever are the ills, right? I don't want to get into the details of it. It will vary from one to another. If a state public sector enterprise, a state is giving it a special attention, their public sector a special attention, and they'll want their public sector enterprises to be profitable, etc. So they will apply that in the context of cooperatives also, right? Barring some cooperatives in 1 or 2 states, most cooperatives are not actually cooperatives following the cooperative principles. That may be a challenge. I do not know how that affects application of CIP, because CIP
See,
can be applied in the public sector also, which we have. We have applied it in the context, as Nidhi said, we have applied it in a government department. Forget about public sector. We also applied it in the 3 oil marketing companies, right? So it can be applied in any organization, irrespective of
actually,
whether it is a cooperative or not.
cooperative organizations are basically, derived by principles and values, and which you say that rightly say that many of them don't follow principles and values like that. But in the recent times, we have seen that the government has taken various initiatives to strengthen the cooperative movement. So many initiatives are there, strengthening primary agricultural cooperative societies, which are the foundation level of the cooperative movement, computerization, digitalization, and devising innovative ways, world's largest grain storage program in the packs. So and setting up of 2 lakh new multi-purpose cooperative societies in dairy, fisheries like that. So the initiatives of the government to strengthen the cooperative have been, target oriented and in all directions. So now the problem is that how to professionalize the working of the cooperative sector, how to improve the governance, because cooperatives are membership based organizations. Okay, so how to derive member engagement, how to build professionalism in the cooperative sector, and how organizations from complicity with an attitude of complicity become result oriented driven, like your CIP frameworks says like that. And your framework also tells about change in the mindset and behavior. So how to translate all these things into, how the CIP framework can uh, uh, address these challenges, because cooperatives are not, merely business organizations as corporates. So cooperatives have social and economic objectives also. See, member engagement is also there. Member active participation is there, which in many of the cooperative organizations they don't have like that. So, do you think, and in the current context, the training programs are there in the cooperative sector, and the government has taken a lot, initiative to set up Tribhuvan Sahakari University at IRMA also. So the training is there, but I feel that CIP from framework goes beyond training. It is coaching like that, and uh, to come up with results, impact like that, change in behavior like that. So if in this context, particular context, what type of training modules, what type of training ecosystem can CIP framework develop in this regard like that? So do we need to go beyond training to coaching to get the results, real results?
Oh, I'll answer the last piece and then leave it to a student from IRMA to answer the other parts, right? Not as a faculty member of IRMA, which I was. First is the work of CIP, what we continue to call CIP intervention, should not be seen as a training intervention at all. It is not training. It is actually an intervention to impact organizational results. So there are different kinds of models for that. So for instance, if some company says, I want an ISO certification, right? They'll hire a consultant and the consultant will do whatever is required for that company to get ISO certification. Somebody says, I want help in somebody giving me a consultation on strategy and execution, right? So some consultant will give some consultation on that. So these are all, I'm not saying CIP is consulting. CIP is actually an intervention for the organization to impact its results, the results which it wants. What does this intervention comprise? It consists definitely of coaching individuals, individual coaching to cause those kinds of results in the organization. Preceding this intervention of coaching is where we get people to understand the CIP framework to some extent through experiential activity-based learning. Okay, so these are the two parts of that intervention. Understanding the framework a bit and then getting coached to apply this framework to produce incredible results. So it should not be treated as a training program at all. You
I
should
think
treat it as any other investment which an organization, maybe a cooperative, any other investment the organization will make to have a big impact on its business results. Nidhi, you
so.
want
I
to add
think
something
Yes.
to the first part?
so. I think it is beyond training. It is coaching also, which is very very important. And maybe a training program based on CIP framework for the cooperative organizations, based on the demands of the organizations and sectors, will be very important. And besides one-to-one coaching, teams, leaders coaching, because I feel that CIP framework basically is a results oriented coach framework like that. And the cooperatives organizations today need results like that. Today they need performance. They need the people working in the cooperative sector need to achieve their goals. Goal oriented is very very important, and the impact is also very important of what are the cooperative programs which are being done. So maybe in these conditions CIP framework can be very useful like that. Nidhi ji, do you want to say something?
Yes. Yes. So I want to make 2 points. First is that a cooperative, given its values and its focus on members, may prioritize different kind of goals. So a commercial organization may only focus on overall profit, but a cooperative may focus on per member profit
Return.
that's going to each member return, or it can focus on what percentage of my members are so engaged. We can come up with some metric for engagement, some indicator for engagement, and what percentage of my members are making an income that sort of a desirable level of income. Are they in a year, are they making few lakhs from us through our initiatives and our efforts? So the kind of goals that cooperative managers and the people at the helm of cooperatives take may be slightly different, because then we can bring about the membership focus in taking up of those goals. And of course, the efforts will be different. Like a GDP goal and a per capita income goal the actions that we take will be slightly different, right? Because our focus is on per capita and not just on GDP or on the overall number. So I'm very, very confident that socially relevant and goals that are in line with the cooperative values can be conceptualized and taken.
For
Second
example,
point I
you
want
were
to,
mentioning, for example,
yes,
you were mentioning about women FPOs like that. You had made a
correct.
intervention there. So in these days, women cooperatives are given a lot of focus there, and there are so many women cooperatives which are, which are struggling with coming up with good business performance, and they are not able to make good profits. But there are other successful organizations. But again, in these type of organizations, how women cooperatives can improve their business performance based on CIP framework, based on the FPO model which you have suggested. And so this is a very, very important sector for the cooperative sector. So
Sure.
so there needs to be a lot of rethinking of, that how CIP module can be, applied to cooperatives, particularly considering the challenges for member engagement. Also, you mentioned about how the members can be engaged, and most importantly, the leaders in the cooperative organizations, they are different. You In the corporates, the leaders here are elected. Many of the board of
Yes,
directors leaders are
yes,
elected, so there need to be,
yes,
trained, like how to develop, visionary thinking, how to develop ethical thinking, how to develop uh, purposeful thinking, like that, result oriented thinking. So all these mindset behavior changes can be done, I think, can be done through CIP framework, which can be applicable to the top levels of the cooperative leadership, which in which I think there is a lot of need for regular training, because that is an area where much needs to be done, like that. So maybe CIP can fill in the void there. So I think so. This is the whole thing, and maybe, Professor Balaji, if you want to say something regarding this,
Yeah.
that, for example, I want to pace that, because cooperatives are, every sector wants to, develop like that, contribute to building up Viksit Bharat like that by 2047. Cooperatives are also important, because cooperatives now, they are the mainstream of the policy. Since the establishment of the ministry, 5 years the ministry has completed. Earlier, the cooperatives are very, very insignificant, were not very, a part of the mainstream economy, because there was no separate ministry like that. But through series of initiatives, through structural changes like that, the the government has taken the cooperative to new heights like that. But still, the cooperative movement at the grassroots levels needs to be more result oriented, performance oriented, impact oriented, mindset change oriented, leadership oriented. So there, I think the CIP framework fits in. So what do you say? That if I ask that, how can CIP framework will help in contribution of cooperatives to building up Viksit
I,
Bharat? So what will be your
yeah.
response?
Yeah. In the beginning, I said who could be the. There are three possible stakeholders who need to be involved in it. For that, we have to differentiate a cooperative organization from the cooperative sector and maybe even cooperative movement. Okay. These are three, we are using these three words, three terms interchangeably. A cooperative organization is one organization, like maybe IFCO, or maybe Amul, or maybe something like that, right? Soften. So it's a cooperative organization. That is what I compare that with any other commercial organization. Then there is a cooperative sector. There's the whole bunch of cooperatives in the country, and there is a policy for it. And the policy has certain objectives, the policy has targets, the policy has strategies. Then there are this whole thing about cooperative movement, which is about building the values of the cooperative sector in the cooperatives, right? So these are three different matters. Let's not confuse each one of them with the other. Now, if you talk about the cooperative sector, the national cooperation policy, its objectives, its strategy, etc., that is where I think CIP can help dramatically in implementing the strategy faster, right? So whoever are in charge of implementing the strategy at the central government or at the state government level, we can actually intervene in their efforts through CIP, right? That's number one. Then there are these cooperative organizations, right? And the policy has its own objectives for the organizations, also converting packs into MPACs, having so and all that. And very importantly, the cooperative sector the policy strategy also includes making these cooperatives viable, professionalizing the management, and professionalizing the management has been going on for more than 50 years, right? Have they been managed? I don't want to get into that part of it. But then, irrespective whether you are professionally managed or not, a cooperative has to produce results, right? Business results. And from those business results are what we are going to impact the owners of this, right? The people who are members of a cooperative. Okay. So that is how we should think about it. I do not know what to do with this, how CIP can help in terms of embedding the cooperative principles, cooperative values in the cooperative. How to do that, I do not know from the perspective of CIP. But definitely in terms of implementing the cooperative policy strategy and in helping individual cooperatives to become much better organizations, CIP can definitely help.
Nidhi ji, would you like to add
Yes,
in the end?
sure. So I would just say one thing that sometimes as governments, we have tendency to take up goals till certain numbers, right? So many numbers of packs or so many number of people who are part of cooperatives from 32 crore to 50 crore or 2 lakhs, right? Uh, my only request is that reaching that stage has to be in the service of another level of result. So we create more institutions, or we do digitalization, or we do professionalization of the cooperatives. All that is great and is required, but let that be in the service of better incomes for members, or better, viability or sustained incomes for members, or sustained benefits. Some one can even, it could be beyond income. You could have some other benefits. So the member centrality is important, and let's not stop just at creating organizations and institutions and improving them. Let's look at the outcome we want from that. So I do think that when leaders take up goals about their core values, which are okay, my members must benefit through being part of this, and they must benefit sustainably. and they come up with some indicators for that, which are measurable. So when they commit to such goals, many of the cooperative values will come in their behavior. Because of all values, that's the most fundamental value, right? That our members and our owners of the cooperative must benefit from this. The small producers must benefit from cooperatives, right? That's why they're coming together. So let's not stop at numbers and reaching large geographies and areas and sectors. Let's also look at the outcomes from the members. And CIP can really come from there. And we can start from there instead of starting from the other end of what all needs to be done.
Uh, in
Just
fact,
want to add one more small thing.
yeah, yeah.
The policy, the national cooperation policy talks about tripling the contribution of the cooperative sector to the GDP of our country, making it 3 times than what it is now. How can that happen? Only when cooperatives run their businesses too well. And when they run their businesses too well, apart from the customers who are benefiting, they run their businesses too well to actually improve the economic and social situation of their members. That is the primary beneficiary of any cooperative, right? If I am a member of a cooperative and if I want to benefit more from my cooperative, not only should I participate in the cooperative's work by giving my produce, for example, but it is when my cooperative runs profitably that my own economic and social change will happen much better, no? So increasing the GDP, the contribution of cooperatives to GDP, making the cooperatives more profitable and impacting the lives of the members, they're all very strongly interconnected. Okay. What I hear Nidhi say is that simply increasing the number of packs or making 2 lakh packs become what is that called? M packs, right? Making them 2 lakhs. You can change it. Now, what if many of them are still not profitable? So the
Yeah,
spirit of it is
very, very
while
true.
you
Very true.
concentrate on increasing the numbers, you also equally concentrate on making them profitable so that the members benefit ultimately.
That is very important. Thank you, Balaji. And in fact, that summarizes the condition like that, because cooperatives, the government has taken many initiatives to strengthen the cooperative. The cooperatives are now part of the mainstream economy, but the cooperatives need to be result oriented, impact oriented, and most importantly, increasing the numbers is okay, but also making them impactful, uh, measuring their performance, and is very, very important. And basically, everything depends on the change in the individual working in the cooperative organizations. From complicity to purpose driven organizations, because purpose driven and finding a compelling purpose is an important ingredient of the CIP framework. So, this framework fits in the functioning of the cooperative organizations. And Professor Balaji has rightly said that there's so many, it needs to be well conceptualized in the cooperative sector. And because cooperatives, if they want to compete with the corporate sector, then they need to be result oriented, performance oriented, professional organizations. Most of the people say that cooperatives are not professional organizations as compared to the corporates or business organizations. So there, I think the performance driven framework of CIP framework fits in quite well. And we will have more detailed discussions on this topic. So this was just a starting point. So I thank Professor Balaji and Nidhi for agreeing to come for this interview like that. And will have more detailed, engaged discussions in the times to come. So thanks all of you, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Sanjay
very much,
ji.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.